Oh, we can continue with this conversation. Welcome, everybody, to the XoneBros. As always, wait, what podcast number is this? This is podcast number 369. As always, I'm joined by the bros, the XoneBros. First, it's Mr. McSpicy.
Hello, how's it going?
Mr. McSpicy. Next, it's Jordan the Man.
Hello.
Jordan the Man. And last but not least, I am X1. Welcome, everybody. For those of you who have not yet, we got into a debate on the pre-show over here on the YouTube channel. Do you lay your Xbox Series S down or do you stand it up?
No. Series. Well, it's a complicated question.
No, it's Series S. The S.
Yeah, the S.
The S, the white one.
Yeah.
The smaller of the two.
The white one with the black hole.
The black hole. We're all about laying that thing down. I think it's better.
Put
Gently. With
Correct.
some caressing movements, and Jordan likes to run his hand along it, and then he hits the on button.
Yes, I like to. When I turn on my Xbox, I always start my hand at the opposite side of the console and slide it over.
Your Xbox appreciates it.
It does.
Over in Discord,
And then I remember, don't forget, I had a little swirl at the end
and a pop.
and a pop on the jewel.
Yeah, I don't swirl it. I do what I like to call the X1 pat, and it's just the little smack like that.
Okay.
Right on that button. Anyways. Head over to Discord, everybody. Link is in the description below. Link is... Do we have it on... I think we have it on all the show notes. It's everywhere. Go head over to Discord. Let us know in general chat. Hashtag and take a picture.
Yes.
Hashtag team stand or team lay down.
No, team vertical.
Team
or
vertical.
Team horizontal.
Or team horizontal.
That's a good one. Yeah.
We already have people.
We already have...
contributing.
There is some kinky people that stand theirs up vertically. Not that I'm judging. I'm not judging.
We're talking about the Series S, right?
The Series S.
Or
Series S.
are we opening up to everything? I think we should open it up
We
to
can
the
open up
X.
to everything.
Yeah,
you can do the
We
X
could
as well.
open it up to everything.
Because
Ooh.
I tend to have my X erect, straight up. That's where I tend to have mine.
Yeah.
Because that's how it looks like it
Yeah,
should be.
well,
It looks
it's
in its natural setting, firm and erect.
Yeah.
The cube. I actually
It's got more girth.
I don't think the X I've ever looked at it laid down. Who lays there down?
Yeah, see, that's what I'd be surprised to see is if anybody has their Series X laid down.
Dead Kamikaze right now just posted a picture over on Discord that he said hashtag Team Vertical. He's a kinky man. He's a kinky man.
Team Vertical.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, if that's what you like.
Oh my gosh.
It is true. Anyways, come join us on Discord.
What a great intro to 369
Yeah.
podcast 369.
No, seriously, come join us on Discord. We're doing some things. We're really excited. Some things are coming over to Discord. We're just come join us. It's a great community. We are Positive Gaming 100% over there. Hilarious discussions are happening all day, every day. We actually did open up a Sea of Thieves channel today with the excitement
Of Pirates Life.
of pirates and booty and pirate booty.
And Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow.
Sea of Thieves is open up. If you want to join us in Sea of Thieves, the channel's there. You can...
The G of Thieves.
The G of the Sea of Thieves. I do want to talk real quick.
Good.
About Assassin's Creed. Now, Assassin's Creed made an announcement this week. It was brought out. Some leaks dropped about Assassin's Creed Infinity is the next... the next game, the next iteration of Assassin's Creed.
Right, they were saying that's the code name, or
the code
was Infinity
name.
the
I
actual?
actually don't think it's the code name. They're saying it's the code name. It sounds like the real name. Now, we do have Halo Infinite, and so I think gaming is moving in this general direction. We did a question in from H2Oer. H2Oer writes in and says, "Hey, bros. Thoughts on the announcement by Ubisoft and the direction of Assassin's Creed?" Now, for those of you that don't know, we did a video of this over on YouTube. You can check it out. We're dropping daily videos there, going over all things Xbox and Positive Gaming. Assassin's Creed Infinity was leaked. That's the code name for the next project. They're merging all their studios together. And the idea here is that it's going to be... They use the term... Jason Schreier used the term online service, gaming service. I don't want to use that because I don't think that that's accurate. I think it's similar to Halo Infinite. We're getting one final version that will continually be added on. It'll be this perpetual evolving world that exists.
Wouldn't that be an online service?
Yeah, but I think when people think online service, you think of Fortnite, and that's not.
Yeah, or
that's,
like a.
that's,
What do
or
you think it
Well, I
means?
guess. Well, I guess you're like people think of live service, where it's like battle passes every so many months, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and I don't think that that's the case. I think more similar to a Grand Theft Auto or an ESO, an MMO type of game.
Well, that actually is an online service.
Yeah, but it's one world. Like it's not like
No, I get what you're saying.
Anyways, regardless, semantics. Assassin's Creed Infinity.
I think semantics are important.
Especially in this situation.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's a big deal.
HTOer wants to know, what are our thoughts on Assassin's Creed going this way? I did a video on it yesterday. My initial thoughts, I really like this. I think this is the future of gaming. I like that Halo Infinite is going that way. Assassin's Creed Infinity. I think it works well. I do have some questions on how they're going to do it because it's different than other games in that Assassin's Creed is always dealing with time. So you're going to different time periods. So, for instance, let's say you have Assassin's Creed Syndicate in 1800 England, and now you have Valhalla in 1000 England. How do they manage something like that going forward in one perpetual world? It's going to be really
Keep
interesting.
in mind, I believe that there are no more time zones that they can cover.
They have covered it all.
So
Have they gone prehistoric like
They
Far Cry,
haven't
though? I
gone-
don't think they have.
well,
They
that
haven't gone-
is Far Cry. Oh wait,
They haven't gone to the future.
They've also not done the future. Cyberpunk Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Cyber. Well, I think
Warhammer 40K,
Assassin's
Creed Warhammer.
No, but I do think this is the future of gaming. I think Grand Theft Auto Online especially has proven the validity of it. And I know Jordan disagrees with me, but I actually think the end of MMO, it's kind of ended MMOs with this respect that it's no longer this separate genre. All games are technically MMOs now. And with the technology, Grand Theft Auto Online, the sandbox that constantly inverts, I think Sea of Thieves is a prime example of it. Look how this game is built over time and how popular it becomes. I think Assassin's Creed, done correctly, obviously, as is the case with any game, I like the idea of this perpetual world with Assassin's Creed. Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it. Oh, were you?
Go
I
ahead,
was
Mark.
going to just say, what do you mean? Every game is technically an MMO now. What do you
Well,
mean?
I mean,
by
if
that?
you look at. Like if you look
Grand
at a
Theft
game,
Auto Online
like Grand Theft Auto
is technically an MMO.
Yeah, there's
Call of Duty
millions,
Warzone is an
millions of
MMO.
people that are playing it. You hop into a
Massive
server, play with it,
multiplayer online is every game. Every game has that ability. So why
what about
not?
Assassin's Creed, the game we're talking
Yeah,
about?
that game has yet to take advantage of it, but now we're moving into that
But we're
direction.
moving into an
Yeah.
infinity of an
Infinity.
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think it's interesting. I mean, I like when developers have ambition, and they're obviously this is a big project. I think they were saying we wouldn't see this until 2024, which is a ways off. I think how you would do it from like an Assassin's Creed perspective is your main character would be whoever you are in the present for that particular game, and then you would go into the Animus and then choose which Assassin's Creed you want to play for that, whatever it is. Maybe that's how they can add on to it. I don't know. We'll see what they do, but it'll be interesting to see what they do. You even mentioned it in the video you made, David. Is it going to be more like a Master Chief collection, not necessarily older games all bundled into one, but all the new games are now just bundled into this new game?
No,
or
I
is
don't-
it going to be
Like where it's a hub and then you go.
Yeah,
I don't
it's a
think
hu-
so.
yeah.
I
That's
think
Call of Duty, I think, is a good example of that. They just keep adding things to the menu.
Yeah, but
Yeah, they do.
true.
They do.
But Call of Duty has this perpetual game mode. I feel like it can't be the Master Chief collection. That just doesn't work. That still is this creating new games by different studios
Yeah.
every year. And they actually talked about Assassin's Creed in their blog that they're merging the studios
See,
and it will be one studio.
No, and I see. I think
rule
the
them
reason
all.
to rule them all.
Yeah. See, well, anyway, that's just how I was looking at it from like a gameplay perspective. You as your character jump into the Animus, and then you pick whatever Assassin's Creed you want to play. But the studio thing, I think that is smart because the more I'm just looking at the example of Rockstar, I guess is what I'm trying to say. All their studios changed the way they develop games to create Red Dead Redemption 2, and they are using that, as far as I know, to create the new Grand Theft Auto. And I think Red Dead Redemption 2 was a fantastic single-player cinematic story experience that probably took the thousands of developers that they needed across three different studios
to really make it work.
and to have I would say decent launch. I mean, there was bugs here and there, but nothing breaking the game. It was a full
Not
experience.
a Cyberpunk launch.
No,
it took them a year to break the game on Grand Theft or on online.
Yeah, when they brought it
Pay to
online.
win, or whatever it was.
Spicy, what-
what is it? It's their formula is pay to piss. Pay to piss me off.
Their formula is pay to earn the right to play to win.
Pay to earn the right to pay
pay
some
to-
more
To pay to win.
to pay to win. Yeah. Yeah, it took them a whole year to figure
That's in
that
Red Dead
formula
Redemption
out.
Online.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah,
talking
Grand
about
Theft
Red Dead
Auto
Redemption.
Online is legit.
That's
Yeah.
great.
So, Spicy, your thoughts? Do you like this direction with a game like Assassin's Creed, or where do you land on this? I mean, Halo Infinite is going this direction. I think that we don't know for a fact, but everything it seems that's the direction. Hence the word infinite.
I think I think it's cool. My concerns are like I look at a game like Warcraft and seeing that game how it started and how it ended. Graphically, there is improvement, but over the course of 20 years there wasn't that much. Jordan may argue differently, but I feel like when you do that, you hold the game back quite a bit after 10 years. Or which is a weird it's a weird way to think that's a timeline of a decade. But when you do this, that's essentially what you're trying to do. You're trying to make this game last for a very long time.
Yeah.
And Warcraft hasn't really did they do a engine change at some point?
I don't know. I know that you usually get graphical updates every expansion. It's not that World of Warcraft has the greatest graphics in the world. I do think World of Warcraft's graphical style ages better than other
because it's like
graphical styles.
toony.
Yeah, it's
cartoony.
stylized, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, I do think Warcraft has aged graphically, and some people may get mad at me for this, but I do think Warcraft has aged graphically better than Final Fantasy Online has aged graphically.
I can see that.
I also feel like this style matches what Xbox is doing with their subscription service.
It does.
And how their hardware idea going forward is working. It's not necessarily hardware that they're looking at now. It's a subscription, and it's games in what they want it to do is they want the games to last as long as they can on the hardware that they have, and it's not necessarily about a launch every 6 to 9 years. 69. 69
369. That's the episode.
369 is the episode number. So I think it kind of matches the way the industry is going in a certain way, if you look at it like that.
Yeah.
Another concern I have, so this is just my initial thought, so I could be wrong on all this, but another concern I have is if the game sucks, then I'm stuck with it for a very long time. The nice thing about these games that came out frequently was when there was a bad version,
You just skipped it.
correct. And I feel as though the last, like Valhalla, let me talk about Valhalla. I think it's a great game. I enjoyed it very much. I feel like the developers made it so stealth was not as important.
Sure.
No, I agree with that.
I think the skill trees made it not as important. I think the enemy mechanics made stealth just not viable as a way to beat the game. Sure, I can turn it on easy mode, but that's not what I want to do. I want to enjoy the difficulty that stealth brings. And I felt like they've kind of gone that way the last couple of games, but in this one it was really present. It was on the forefront that stealth just sucks. You can't beat some enemy types with stealth. So, that said, Assassin's Creed in my mind is a stealth game.
Agreed.
If they keep this trend and then they make a infinity version of this game, then I'm stuck with that skill tree forever.
Well, not necessarily, because you can add to it. So similar to the way that I would envision it is, let's say we start with this more action combat oriented, not stealthy version. Let's say they start like that. Then I foresee them like a Destiny. They drop a chapter in 9 months, and this chapter maybe is solely based on stealth. The entire chapter,
okay.
With they add in new, skills to your tree, and now you're updating your character for that, and
that's fine. It's just even the previous chapters. Let's say we'll call them chapters.
Yeah.
So the previous chapter, the enemies' mechanics it's not necessarily just the skill tree. It's the mechanics of the enemies as well.
yeah.
So
And the mechanics of the game. You literally cannot stealth a raid.
yeah,
The game
the
will not
best
let
you can do is a hybrid
Yeah.
of the two. And so I feel like, and it's Assassin's Creed. The whole game, since I've played the first one, it's about stealth.
Yeah.
It's about stealth. So, and it's obviously changing. Maybe they do these A/B testing in they put people in a room and they're like, well, this one's way more fun. And so they're just like, oh, okay, let's just remove stealth.
Sure.
Or just keep it in kind of.
Keep it as a passive.
So it'll keep the spices of the world happy-ish. You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, those are like my initial thoughts. I think keeping a game you like viable for a long time is enjoyable. Yeah. I mean, I love games that keep me around for a long time. Just games that I like. I like to play them as long as I can. Also, I do like to have endings to games too. So I don't know what I'm saying because I like to check it off my list.
Well, imagine you complete the chapter. Let's say there's some sort of reward system in the world or housing system, guild system, who knows? Not to say that this is going to be multiplayer necessarily, but you would have to imagine if they're going that direction, they're going to have some kind of multiplayer element, even if it's just being in the same world with other people and being able to show off stuff you've earned from doing different missions, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Imagine you've completed a chapter, you come away, oh, the new chapter's back, and you're able to jump back in and take off from where you last ended. And there's a big appeal. So you can end, but then you get the best of both worlds. I think the difficulty here is
appeasing a person like me.
No, I think the difficulty is with Assassin's Creed. So, for instance, Halo Infinite, the way that Assassin's Creed is built is you're going through time, which really works well with completely different games altogether. Halo is one consecutive story arc. So you're not dealing with that. Same with Grand Theft Auto Online.
Well, Assassin's Creed is sort of with Abstergo.
Yeah, Abstergo's got to be a big part of it.
That's probably like the menu. Like you go and turn on your TV.
Yeah, my only issue there is Abstergo in past games. If you notice, they've gone away from being super Abstergo.
Yeah, but it was
heavy.
Actually interesting in Valhalla.
Yeah, this one they did a good job.
No, that's what I was saying. I would assume they do it is your character is whoever is in the present with the Animus, right? And then you just go into the Animus and pick what you want to do. It all depends on. I don't know. It's an interesting concept. I don't know why other games are doing it, like Halo Infinite and Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that, right? So it's not necessarily a new concept, but it almost feels weird thinking about it with Assassin's Creed. I think it all depends on how they deliver their content. Because let's say they do the chapter thing, you know what I mean? There is one game that I think is a fantastic game, and I'm glad they made it, but the way they deliver their content, I think is the worst a game has ever done, and that's Final Fantasy VII Remake. Being 2 years into episode 1 or whatever, I thought that was a terrible idea. I think you should have either finished the game or had a better release schedule with your episodes.
Well, is that though?
And I don't want Assassin's Creed to turn into that. Although, now that being said, I think Final Fantasy Remake is a fantastic game, and I really needed to come to Xbox, so that'd be great. But the way they deliver their content, I think, is terrible.
But having said that, that's not a perpetual, always online world. That's a completely single.
Well, it is now because I got to
player.
wait for episode 2.
Yeah, but you're not able to jump in there and interact with other people. Like, it's not this world that you can jump into. It's a strictly single player experience.
But so
that's being delivered in chapters.
But that's what I think Assassin's Creed is going to be.
No, I picture Assassin's Creed. No.
Well, you think it's going to be a co-op experience? Because technically,
no, it doesn't need to be a co-op experience either. What I'm saying is, if it's going to be just think Grand Theft Auto Online. And that section is, you can earn stuff. Maybe there's sandboxy games in there that you can do. And then outside of that, you go and do missions or quests or chapters. Destiny. It will be Destiny, in my opinion. Minus perhaps the multiplayer part. The multiplayer part with respects to like this perpetual world where you can show off your stuff. Maybe there's housing.
So here's my question for you then.
And this is all assumptions, everybody.
No, yeah.
We're not operating off facts.
No,
just
this
assumptions.
is just the idea of what... If you're going to have... So you're saying basically Destiny, where you have like this open world, shared world is what Destiny calls it, which is pretty accurate. But the thing is if you have a shared world in Assassin's Creed, but then make all the main missions single player, what's the point in having the time and effort put into that shared world? Why waste resources on it? You know what I mean?
Well, and that's going to be the tricky part.
Well, yeah,
for Assassin's Creed Infinity.
Like, so are we moving more towards a co-op experience or because Destiny
I'm sure there'll be co-op
Destiny
missions.
is... You can do multiplayer. I mean, you can do single player, but I mean, if Destiny is, you play with your friends. It's a shared world experience, right?
I think there'll be some shared world aspects, shared world experience aspects. I doubt it would be 100% that, but maybe.
Because I'm thinking in my mind more of like kind of what we're thinking about with Halo Infinite minus the co-op aspect of Halo, right?
Yeah.
you have this big open world that continuously can expand through what we call them now as DLC, but they'll probably change the name of it later. They add on different chapters, different missions,
2.0.
different types of the world.
It'll become numbers.
Yeah.
Because the way I feel Infinite's going to do it, and again, this is all just off assumption because we haven't heard much other than it's going to be a very perpetual, expansive world. I assume the way Halo's going to do it is you're going to have this main set of quests, and then throughout the different battle passes and whatever seasons that they're doing or however they're going to line it up, they'll add 10 more missions that expand this guy's story or give you a new story over here. That's how I assume Halo's going to do it. I kind of would assume the same thing with Assassin's Creed, just more single player focused.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think the reason it feels weird is because Assassin's Creed is single player. Now it would be different if you, like Grand Theft Auto, you have your single player experience and then a completely separate multiplayer that has its own set of rules and stuff that it deals with,
Yeah, it's regardless, it's going to be interesting to see how it breaks down. I think, Spicy, what you said is correct. This is the future. This is the direction that gaming is going. And what's really interesting that I hadn't considered before, Spicy, is it fits in with the Xbox model of Game Pass subscriptions. That's really interesting to me. In fact, there was another news story that dropped this week about Avalanche Studios, and they talked about yesterday, the CEO talked about how they decided, because their new game Contraband that's coming out is dropping on Game Pass, and they had lots of opportunities to go console exclusive and do a deal with other consoles. But he said, when looking at what Game Pass does for us and what we want to do with this game, it just fits what we need and what we want. And that's really interesting to me. And if that's the direction gaming is going, it's hard to see how Xbox does not continue to just absolutely crush it.
Well, yeah, I think developers with this are starting to, build their games to the mold of what's happening across the industry, subscriptions. I think they're forming it to that.
Yeah.
So,
It's really interesting. Speaking, we did bring up another game. Oh, by the way, H2Oer, great question. Thank you very much for writing in. We did bring up another game, Sea of Thieves, as this example of an not open world, like a perpetual world that's always evolving and continually being there. I would like to make the argument that Sea of Thieves is currently Xbox's marquee title.
I know it's up there.
I mean, fun fact,
until Master Chief.
It's number one on Steam 2 weeks in a row. That's huge.
Until Master Chief.
I agree with that. But I think what's interesting is, remember when it dropped, it kind of got made fun of, and it was like, what is this? And it's because it's this ever-evolving experience, they're able to continually to improve it and add to it and bring new features and content. I think it's the marquee game. If you noticed in the music video we watched, the all-for-one commercial of Xbox All Access, they showed off Halo and they showed off Sea of Thieves on screen.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's the style of game that it is too, because it's a game where you create your own story, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just I think that's part of the reason it's so popular.
Well, that was part of the reason it got so much flack at the beginning, and I think
because there was nothing to do. What do you do?
Well, because they're not playing it. I think I'm going to bring up the power of streamers again. We've talked about this before, but this game really didn't. I mean, people played it, but it really wasn't what it was until Summit 1G started playing this game, and I think that gave it a shot in the arm. And instead of looking on the outside, which a lot of people would do because they never played it, they saw Summit making his own story, sitting in a ship for 45 minutes, just laying there, waiting to steal the Athena chest.
Drawing inappropriate pictures on a map.
Correct. He would do stuff like that.
People would be like, who did this?
He would make his own story, and I think that gave people the chance to not make fun of a game like this and to not just complain about, well, there's nothing to do.
It became a role-playing game.
Became kind of... Well, yeah, it totally is. And I think that's what gave this game kind of the shot in the arm that everybody started to enjoy, because it is a different type of game. You build your own story, just like you said.
Well, and I think... it's just like that, because I think Sea of Thieves, and some people may disagree with me, but I think it falls into the same category as a game like Rust or DayZ, where it's you create your own story. Why is Rust fun? Rust is fun because we built a base and then decided to take a helicopter over to this other guy's base and blow it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The reason, the same thing in Sea of Thieves. Now, Sea of Thieves obviously not as hardcore survival. It's more adventure than survival, obviously. But it's the same thing. Like, hey, guys, what are we going to do tonight? Do you want to go get an Athena chest, or do you want to just go blow that guy up over there? You know, and in doing that, you create your own adventure.
Yeah.
Well, and I think adding in the story modes that came, the tall tales, and now you're adding in that on top of layered over these big IPs like a what is the movie? Why can't I
Pirates
think
of the
it?
Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
No,
Just takes it to the next level.
Ever since the anniversary patch, which I think was, 2 years ago now, a year and a half ago now, I think they've been on an upward trend because the anniversary patch did a lot of cool stuff. There has been a few things that I wish they've changed, like particularly with battle passes and stuff like that. I wish there's a few criticisms I have there that we've talked about, but with the newest update, Pirate's Life, and then now that we can see what the Pirate's Life is, it's Disney, Captain Jack Sparrow, the potential of what can come in the future, of how they can do these tall tales.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. We did drop a poll in chat, everybody who's watching us live here on YouTube. Is Sea of Thieves Xbox marquee game at the moment? And for the definition of marquee would be, is it its premier game right now? And I think seeing it on screen with Halo, for instance, in that commercial for Xbox All Access, shows that it is. I mean, it's been up there on Steam all year. It's now number one after the Pirates of the Caribbean launch 2 weeks in a row on Steam. You've got PC, you've got Game Pass. Mm-hmm. It's everywhere that you can play it. Xbox All Access, streaming, xCloud. I do think currently it is its marquee title.
No, I
mean, what else would
your Forza franchise currently would be?
Forza Horizon.
Your Forza Horizon would be
well,
one
the thing
of your
is
titles too.
Just because it's marquee now doesn't mean it will always be marquee.
No, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think, and that's why I said, well, maybe until Master Chief comes along, because Sea of Thieves is what we have, and I feel like ever since the anniversary update, they've been on an upward trend. I mean, Summit still plays, and he enjoys it. Mm-hmm. You know, and then he, without a doubt, brought in a huge community of people that are now playing it and probably enjoying it as well too.
Yeah. So everybody in chat, really interesting. They disagree. Everybody who has voted said no, 100%. So I'd be curious, chat. Yeah, let me know. What do you think is the marquee title then? What game is currently Xbox using to promote its console, its ecosystem? Mm-hmm. Because I see Sea of Thieves everywhere. And
I think you're right, because I think a lot of people will say, "Oh, Halo is," because Halo is Xbox.
Yeah,
but
not right now.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, Sea of Thieves is bringing people to Xbox.
And some might say, "Fool for the Forza Motorsports series," but not right now. Forza Horizon 5 when it drops will be, or a new motorsport drops, or even at the end of this month, Flight Simulator drops. Maybe that becomes it.
Sea of Thieves is a consistent for Xbox, that's for sure, because it's out for
it's
one.
Perpetual.
And it's perpetual. It's a
perpetual.
consistent for them. It'll always be there for them, and I think it'll always bring in crowds of people, especially when they have these big updates.
Yeah,
but I think Forza.
You think Forza is?
Forza is. It comes out a lot more frequent than Master Chief ever sees the screen. And you have two
until the end of this year. Then they'll
then it'll be an infinite version of Master Chief.
The King returns. Return of the King.
That's how they should market it.
It should be Lord of the Rings. Return of the King.
Forza is the racing game. Yeah, you have others elsewhere, but I feel like those that play on other consoles, for example, Andrew, I think on your interview a couple weeks ago, he mentioned that he would want Forza on PlayStation big time.
That's a good point,
because you can't play it on anything else.
That is a good point.
And I think Forza. I mean, I started playing Forza the last couple weeks. That's gonna kind of been my relaxing game again. Forza Horizon 4. I think it's a game you always go back to. You can. And I think it has stayed popular far longer than it should.
It's true. No, it definitely. I mean, so having said, Sea of Thieves #1 on Steam, Forza Horizon 4 is #2 and #4, different versions on Steam last 2 weeks, just crushing it. And the fact that you can jump back into it. What did it release in 2018 or 2017? You can jump back into it years later, and there's still new content that's dropping.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the hype of #5 doesn't hurt either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, sure, sure, but
Well, that's
I mean,
what did it, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I started playing. That's honestly why I started playing. But yeah, you think of the games that we want from PlayStation. I mean, I want Last of Us. I want
Yep.
I want Spider-Man. I want God of War. On the other side, the one that is always on everyone's list
Is Forza.
That's
That's a really good point. I didn't.
No, that
consider
is, yeah.
Where Sea of Thieves maybe isn't pulling people like a Forza is pulling people.
Well, see, and I think we slightly talked about this before the show, but speaking of like Assassin's Creed Infinity and Halo Infinite, I think you had mentioned Forza could be a game that could do that ever perpetual.
I do think so.
Yeah.
I think eventually I could see, instead of a Forza Motorsport and a Forza Horizon, I foresee a Forza Infinite, if it were, or just called Forza. And you could merge the two. So you could have the open world Forza Horizon experience, and then maybe you go into you join
deep
a
simulator.
motorsport?
You join a championship circuit, and that is motorsport.
It's like
the
a deep
simulation
simulator.
version.
That's actually exactly what I've dreamed of.
Yeah. So you get the best of both worlds. You can do arcade races, but then the hardcore
love
ranked
that.
multiplayer / hardcore single player is the simulation motorsport. And maybe you call it, maybe what you have is you have Horizon Championships, and then you have Motorsport Championships.
Well, and I think the Horizon part of it would work perfect too, because I mean, every time they release a DLC, you have to take a boat to go to the new island anyway. I mean, we'll just take a boat to Mexico.
Maybe what you call it is Forza World.
Forza World. Hey, that's not a bad idea.
Forza World for
And
all
then-
your Forza needs.
For everything Forza. Forza World.
And then once we complete the world, there's going to be like a moon expansion.
Yeah.
oh, you know there is.
You know there has to be.
It's going to be a Destiny crossover. Where you go in the depths.
No, that's actually not a bad idea. Forza World, because think about it, like you said, you can. So now we're in,
that game never ends.
because you would just come out every couple of years or every whatever your cycle is. I don't know what the cycle is for Horizon games. Isn't it every other year right now for Horizon games minus this one?
Yeah, this one was a little
Different.
because I think they were pushing
Two technologies.
Horizon
Yeah.
forward.
Sorry, we're talking about Forza
Yeah,
Horizon.
because
You're still thinking of commercials?
well, it's
or-
just like right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
like-
in a world.
in a world, I'm still thinking.
it's just like right now. So Forza Horizon 4 is in London. Why can't the next Forza Horizon, if we were in this Forza world, just be the next chapter? The
Yeah,
next
I
section?
agree. It's Mint says, what about Project Cars for the racing sim? So Project Cars is a good racing sim game. It's solid. Forza Motorsport is still seen, in
As
my
superior.
opinion, as the, again, I'm going to use this word, marquee, as word of the day, as the marquee racing simulator.
Yeah.
IMO.
I mean, you can just look at the licenses for all the cars alone.
Yeah.
They have everybody.
When you have Microsoft's wallet behind
And
it.
their their esports scene is freaking legit. It's cool. It's really cool. Really, really cool.
And Microsoft, I don't want to put Microsoft Flight Simulator off the list either. The problem with that one is, though, the last Microsoft game was, 2001?
Yeah, 2001.
It was 10, right? X.
Yeah. That's 20 years. That's 20
We
years
and,
ago.
and we know how well it's done on.
So in 20 more years, we'll get the next.
Well,
Flight
we know how
Simulator.
well it's done on the PC. Well, look at that though. I don't think we get another flight simulator ever. I think this is it. You're live updating
Yeah, I mean when
it.
when your servers process the world.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
do you need another game?
And so flight simulator, we'll see how that does on when it comes to console, because I've argued and I still argue, I think it's been niche because of the setup that you need. They're
Well,
removing that now
see,
with
and that's-
xCloud and console.
Well, but I think the setup still matters. I think that's where it's going to be important on the console. They need to, and I think this is where all their effort needs to be put in. They need to nail the control scheme for the console, because I think a lot of people will be turned on. I mean, some people will be turned
It's
on
a
from that
simulator,
Yeah,
so
because
it's difficult.
people will be turned on by that simulation aspect. But I think
People also
for
be
the
turned off.
no. Well, it's just like racing sim games. I think you like Forza does it well. You can it's a simulator game. You can have settings in there for the general masses that will then slowly go in and turn off those settings, because you do better if you are racing without those
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
bumpers. I guess is that what we call them? Bumpers for the lanes. They're like
What?
Forza Motorsport settings are kind of like the bumpers for a bowling alley.
On bowling alley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, arcade mode versus simulator.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think they need to nail that control scheme on the controller for Flight Simulator to have a big impact. I think.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I bring that game up is that is something you can't get anywhere else.
No, yeah, no, that is
besides Microsoft's platforms. I would say PC and console. So and there's not a lot of PCs that can even deal with that game.
In Loyal Doyle's in chat, it burned his graphics card.
Yeah, while flying over Salt Lake,
while
right?
flying over the great state of Utah.
Yeah,
his plane
crashed and burned.
His plane started to crash, and that was simulation. As his plane crashed, his graphics card caught on fire. That's the kind of simulation it is.
See, that's the setting you
it's
want.
Real world simulation.
Yeah, real world.
Yeah. So that's a simulation game that you can't get.
Well,
it's a limited availability even on PC.
Because I'm kind of torn. Like, do you guys think Flight Simulator will do very well on the console? I think it'll have an explosion initially, but that's why I said I think if you have a crappy control scheme, which you can.
This is what's going to happen. So yes, what you're saying is true, but I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot of articles online that start to complain about Microsoft Flight Simulator because it's ruining the world. Because this
because they don't recycle.
No,
it's gonna
be like the crypto argument that it's ruining the world.
It's not efficient
because you want to get airtime, and you have to keep your plane flying for about 7 hours to get to Africa.
You do.
It's
on real time. It's in real time mode.
So
autopilot.
It is going to be cranked. Your CPU and your GPU on your Xbox is going to be cranked, and you're going to leave it on because you want the hours of the achievement.
I just had a thought on that.
And so you're going to get articles.
Is it going to have quick resume?
It's ruining the world.
Will it have quick resume?
Reduce, reuse, recycle. Don't play Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Don't play Microsoft Flight Simulator. Will it have quick resume? That is a good question.
I probably will, but I mean,
but
quick resume is essentially a pause button.
Here's the thing: the point is not pausing the game. The point is putting it on autopilot to get to Europe.
Yeah. My tip for beginners: turn fuel off, because I was wasting a lot of fuel because I wasn't flying right.
Well, that's a simulation.
Yeah,
I actually played that way for a little bit, where you'd have to find an airport that does fuel, and you'd have to land, and have to go in your spot, and then you'd request fuel, and they would to the air tower, and then they would bring it out. There
was one time I ran out of fuel above the city of Provo, going from my St. George to Salt Lake City trip, and it didn't turn out very well.
Do you have to? Do you have to? Does it tell you?
I looked for the stadium and I couldn't.
So do you have to calculate it beforehand?
Correct. And you can
just have an Excel sheet.
The problem is, so there's a fuel range that kind of helps you out. And you're like, and in my mind,
but it lies because we're not efficient flyers.
We're not pilots.
We redline the plane because we want to get there faster.
You're like, why don't we just go 1,000 miles an hour?
And when you do that, your fuel consumption just goes.
Yeah, but then there's also because of the simulation, there's also like
headwinds.
Yeah, because you need to how is it? You need to point your plane a kind of more up because you're going slower. So the lift. There's a lot of variables
that deal with
save
fuel consumption.
There are pilots listening to this show right now, just shaking their heads.
They're like, those guys couldn't even make it from St. George to Salt Lake.
Idiots.
Don't push the plane that hard.
That's like a beginner's flight.
So when plane companies in real life now talk about the price of jet fuel going up, it's because they have crappy pilots.
It's because they have crappy pilots.
That's what it is.
No, it's true. And here's also, if you put too much fuel in your plane, it bogs it down.
Yeah,
you're heavier. So you
which wastes fuel.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of. So that's why Jordan just flips that switch, that simulation switch.
Do you remember
off.
when we found it? I was like, you could do what?
Wait, I was
what is this
I was
setting?
like, Jordan, just turn it off.
Oh, click.
All right, I'm going to Africa.
Then I left my computer on all night to get those hours.
Because we'd leave our computers on so it would fly to get those hours on the plane because...
The first thing I mastered on the plane that I was using at the time was how to fully control autopilot.
You have to, learn.
Yeah.
And every plane's autopilot is different.
Which is incredibly frustrating. I get why, people sometimes argue there
But
should be a
see,
standard.
but see, look how you guys are talking about it.
Oh,
People are going to be able to experience this for the
see,
first time on console, and I think this is cool.
That being said, it's because we got to use joysticks. We had our Stream Decks completely set up with all flight controls. The control scheme was perfect to us. Like it
does drop day one mouse and keyboard support. So
it does?
It does.
Okay. How about
so
Stream
I think
Deck
I
support?
might.
I mean, I would imagine you could set it up the same way.
Could we do the Stream Deck? Because we can just
It's
make
just
the Stream
USB.
Deck have.
It would
no
be
way.
a keyboard.
Well, we could just make the
'Cause it's
Stream Deck have
keys.
It's a driver issue. I would think. But I mean, a keyboard is the Stream Deck, just
with buttons.
just with letters,
Just with
instead of-
changeable words.
Yeah.
See,
So-
my Stream Deck said landing gear, not K. You know. And then I had all my different lights on buttons, tail light.
Well, so what's so interesting about this game? Usually you can start the game like it's easy mode is having the plane ready to fly when you get in the cockpit.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is to do the flight check from like you get in your plane and you have a cold plane and then you have to do everything? They have a checklist. There's like 300 things.
It's
I
why.
think that should be changed in real life.
Well,
I mean,
it's
come on.
why
in real life, that's
It's
probably
why
there's a
you
lot less.
sit at the airport waiting for your flight
Yeah,
to take
no,
off
it's
for so
like-
long. We've learned.
You can't just can't.
Yeah, I'm actually starting to judge pilots on my experience from this game.
Flight simulator. Excuse me, sir. This is a little bit too much turbulence. You want me to take over? I've played logged
flight.
50,000 hours in
You know
Flight
what's
Simulator.
funny is I think like if you go full simulation and you log that many hours into Flight Simulator,
probably fly a
you
plane?
could probably I'm actually confident that if the pilot has a heart attack, I can decently land the plane.
that's
It
what
might
I-
be a hard landing, but I can land it.
I think the same
can
thing.
land
I feel
it,
like, on an airplane, if something happened to the crew, you know that movie Airplane? I'd be like, yeah, I got this. Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Now-
is there a pilot on board?
Can I turn the fuel button off?
Is there a pilot on board?
Now that being said,
Right here.
that being
Even though you're
said,
not a pilot.
that being said, I am only efficient in those situations in the Cessna, the Citation, and the Boeing.
Oh, so did you go
So
like
if-
747?
I did do the
okay.
Boeing. That one's
Okay.
a bit
That's a
tougher.
hard plane
But
to
I
fly.
did find the landing gear button, so I
So you know what button to push.
That's
And,
what I'm saying.
and where the flaps are.
Yeah, because there's a
Because
challenge.
it was on my Stream Deck. Because I put the flaps on my Stream Deck.
That is funny. I do want to answer a question real quick from Andrew Courtney that we missed in chat. He says, as someone who has never played a Forza game, will Horizon 5 be a good jumping in game for me? Yes.
Yeah, looks to
any
be.
any of the Horizon games is a good jumping in point. There's no story to follow. The hardest adjustment is it's unlike any other racing game with respect to it's this open world experience, so it can be a little bit confusing. But just start racing and you'll get it. It's really
It's
good.
right trigger, left trigger, joystick.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then when you get good, you throw the A button in there.
Yeah.
So we have Sea of Thieves up, and we talked about this as a game that Spicy, you credit streamers to really blowing this game up, and I think you're correct with that respect. Earlier today, it was either today or yesterday, someone that I follow tweeted on Sam Woodall. He's a big YouTuber. He tweeted out, "The golden era of streaming is dead." I agree with that statement. What are your thoughts? You were the big streaming watcher.
Well, I think the golden era can come back. It's just got to go somewhere else other than Twitch.
You think so? You think
I think a big problem is how that company runs itself,
runs there?
and how it treats its viewers and how it treats its content creators.
See, I think it's I think it's dead because it was in its infancy and it was this new thing that hadn't been done. I think it's evolving now, and I think it's evolving as a supplement. In other words, I don't know how to explain it.
I think the idea
Okay, go ahead.
of being able to interact with the entertainment that you're watching
In real time.
in real time is never going to go away.
That's a good point.
I think that is the future of broadcasting. Imagine if we had this for all our other shows growing up, where we could watch it and then we could interact, send them a message, and then it would change, what we were watching instantly by them reacting to what we said.
Yeah.
That is never going away. That is the future of broadcasting, regardless of where it's going to be consumed or
Interesting.
shown. The golden era, what he was probably I honestly think that it's just
There's no
there's a company that's in charge that shouldn't be in charge.
I see.
That's what I think is happening.
That has kind of ruined the experience, or not ruined it, but it's no longer what it once was.
Sure.
That's for sure.
Well, and the problem, there's so many issues with a lot of things that goes on. I'm just going to bring up Twitch because they are the one that I have issues with. A lot of the content creators, whether they were forced or whether they were chosen to cultivate a chat room of toxicity, for example, it made it so every single person in that community, you can't have normal conversations in chat rooms. You can't be positive without having someone slap you around. There's so many things wrong, and I believe, and that was Twitch at its infancy, cultivated an atmosphere of that. Makes it very difficult for content creators to literally stay sane.
Yeah.
If they refuse that said community, they make no money, which will make them go insane as well. It's a weird atmosphere that has been created because of how Twitch and their content creators interacted with each other. There's a lot of other things, a lot of other variables that I disagree with, how Twitch handles things, how content creators are limited in what they can request and appeal and do a whole bunch of stuff. It's
do you think the golden era was maybe a few years ago when Mixer was first starting, where you had first time ever consoles being able to stream to Twitch, and so there was this like new interesting aspect with that, and it was all coming up, and then you had your classic big streamers who made huge names for themselves at the time, whether it be Ninja, Dr. Disrespect. Lyric was big right before then. I think he probably predated the golden era, but was a part of it.
Yeah, he was a part of creating it too. Yeah.
Do you think that the newness is gone, so the shine is off a little bit?
I think what we have and what's going to happen is what were those channels back in the 90s that you'd go to, like 805, channel 805, and it was like public access live people, and they would interact. You could actually go to YouTube and watch some of the stuff that are hilarious, where they interact with phone callers and stuff like that. The idea is not necessarily new. It's still around. It's just so much easier for the normal person
to do it.
To do it. I think it's going to. I think the golden era is yet to come. It's as soon. I think it's as soon as we can get a platform that isn't Twitch in charge.
Do you think YouTube will be that platform?
YouTube's interesting because
they have a different mindset.
The live streaming is a supplement to their actual product.
Exactly.
I don't think YouTube is that because of their model is different. I think a lot of people, for the golden era to come back, let's say that's what I think it is, because I think it existed before Amazon purchased Twitch. The problem, though,
or even immediately after the purchase.
The problem, though, is how terrible the service was as a actual service.
Sure.
You got disconnected. You were dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. Chat rooms got disconnected. It just was too big for its britches. Amazon comes in with money, fixes all those problems.
And that was the golden era right there, that snapshot.
I think as soon as you clean house and get rid of a lot of people.
Suits.
Yes, a lot of people making the wrong decisions over and over and over again.
Do you think what they are is their Xbox, when Xbox became corporate, they needed their own Phil Spencer, a gamer, with gamers in mind?
Well, see, Twitch does not want to be anymore just a gaming streaming service.
It's almost like they want to be their own network of different shows, quote unquote, of what how
I would totally say that they want to go back to what they were before the Justin TV.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I think the golden era is yet to come.
Oh,
that's my.
You gave me tingles there. That makes me excited.
Yeah, tingles.
Well, the formula, we know what works and what doesn't. It's just people in charge are wrong. That's just it. Things that I would do for example, to get rid of the toxicity, do what Mixer did. Make it not anonymity. Is that the word?
You've got or even Facebook is doing that to an extent. I mean, where you have to have your Facebook profile.
83 was it? Bill Burr's always quote that always makes me laugh. It was that like 87% of the internet are assholes,
Yeah.
and 13% are cool. The reason that is the case is because of the anonymity of the internet, which is both good and bad.
Yeah.
In this case, it's bad because it creates and cultivates an atmosphere of toxicity because they don't rein it in at all. And it's just an awful experience. The reason I have moved to YouTube is because of many of those reasons. One of those is I just have to full screen my stream because I don't want to see, when I'm watching E3, for example, I don't want to see a million 12-year-old toxic people going, this is dumb. When's Fortnite? When's Fortnite? This is
sucks.
dumb.
This sucks.
Stupid. This sucks.
Yeah.
Next game. I don't want that. And that's, by the way, that's the edited version of what you would actually see.
Yeah.
It would be far, far worse. Whereas you full screen it. So I would go to YouTube because I could watch it in crystal clear quality as a VOD and enjoy it with pausing and stuff like that. Anyways, but if it's a content creator, I don't know. There's a lot of things that need to change, but a lot of the people upstairs are making wrong decisions. And I have, you know this, a lot of people that listen to the show has known this. I have left completely. I have cut off Twitch from my entire content enjoyment, where I choose to watch things. And I would watch it hours upon hours a day. I would have it up on a screen while I work and just watch a lot of the streamers.
So here's kind of my initial thoughts about the golden era of streaming. I think its place will settle as supplemental content, and here's why. Because, for instance, I really like Asmongold. I've been watching a lot of his stuff lately.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
I think he does a lot of stuff right. I don't watch him live. I watch him on YouTube. Even if I were to watch him live, the chances that I would interact live would be slim to none. But on YouTube, I can still watch his reaction. I can watch the VODs that have been cut up into segments, and I can still experience him reacting to people live. And I would be curious on the numbers. In fact, I guess a good case study is we could go look at the numbers of his videos in particular. Live stream numbers versus then long-term what his VOD numbers get on YouTube, this evergreen content that is sitting there where I can experience him reacting live, but after the fact. But I don't have to be tuned in live.
Yeah, but still you need that experience it live to have
Yeah, I
that
agree.
VOD
But
anyways.
what I'm saying is I think the golden era was the only way to do that was live. Like nobody was YouTube streamers hadn't yet been putting their stuff up as evergreen content necessarily. They were exclusively on Twitch, and that was so everybody had to be there if you wanted to experience live. Now it's kind of flipped where I'm using this live experience to create this evergreen experience that everyone can partake in long term. That never goes away.
Yeah, I don't
It's a
know.
little bit of chicken and egg.
Yeah, it is, and maybe the hybrid of the two is
the sweet spot.
the sweet spot going forward. Maybe that's the golden era that we're going to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really interesting. Who said that? The golden era.
Sam Woodall. He's a content creator. That
I mean,
on Twitter.
I believe that. I honestly believe that because I have been just turned off so many times and so hard in so many occasions by how Twitch deals with issues and how they are not balanced on their decisions and how they pick and choose according to whatever they think at the time is, I don't know, correct. And
and their decisions seem fire from the hip, like shooting from the hip, and then not based on any sound principle.
Yeah.
That is consistent, and I think that's a big issue.
and again. And unlike Blizzard,
and antithetical decisions to, I think what you said is correct. What gamers want.
yeah.
Its core audience.
Again and again and again. And unlike Blizzard, where the only place I can play Hearthstone is there, I can get my content elsewhere.
That's
so
true.
I agree that the golden era was, like you said, before I could get it elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I honestly believe because the formula is so good, being able to interact with people you watch and get entertained by, that it won't go away. And somebody is going to figure out a way to improve
that.
it and do it right and not have the team that's making these decisions
Well,
in charge.
if YouTube could develop a culture that Twitch has via where it really encourages streamers to stream on their platform via gifted subs and stuff, it's just I don't know how anyone else can develop that kind of culture. Twitch is the king at that kind of culture. And so even if look at Microsoft, who has all the money in the world, tried to jump in with Mixer and cut cords and says, no, this is just not. This doesn't line up long term with us.
I think, and you guys let me know what you think. I think Microsoft fell victim to the same thing Twitch is. Twitch just has more numbers. I don't think Microsoft at what'd you call it, the managerial level, whoever was managing, made necessarily
there were wrong decisions. But
you know what I mean?
I think some of the stuff that was correct is okay.
They did things correct.
Let's try to get these big names over to pull people from Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, that didn't work. People said, "Well, I'm staying on Twitch. I don't follow the creator. I'm on the. They're not on Twitch right now. I'll watch someone else that is."
Well, and see, here's the thing. With that, they couldn't be when they moved to Mixer. They couldn't be a cesspool of toxicity because Mixer forced them to be
a verified account.
When
it's not necessarily like a verified, like your personal name. It's just a verified account.
Which they could punish you for saying terrible things.
Yeah.
And so they go there and wait, I have to be a human being? No, I'm going back to Twitch. I'll just watch this person on VODs, which is what we kind of do anyways. Yeah. And that I think is the big hurdle that somebody has to go against.
Yeah. Rose City Gamer in chat says XoneBros have the potential. Well, thank you. Thank you for your belief, Rose City Gamer. Loyal Doyle says YouTube needs a Twitch Prime option. Something that, and I think by that he means like a bundled free sub model. You could kind of do it with YouTube. YouTube has YouTube TV now. They have YouTube Red. Somehow if they could figure out how to bundle all those together, perhaps you could do it. But even then, the culture's just different on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Rose City Gamer, do streamers get syndicated? Yeah, it's called YouTube. I'm pretty sure.
Go look up Asmongold. His YouTube channel is huge. Probably surpasses his Twitch.
Yeah, but on Twitch he gets like what 100K plus each time he streams.
Well, and the difference is this.
That was just usually I think he sits anywhere between 30 to 50.
Okay.
This week was different because he was doing some new stuff and it brought in a lot of.
Well, the thing that's different is during, let's say he streams for 2 hours, and he doesn't. He streams for a lot longer than that. In a 2 hour span, how much he's getting in donations, because that's the culture there, versus what he's getting on YouTube. It's far higher on Twitch, guaranteed.
Well, yeah.
Even though his viewership is probably far higher long-term on videos, what he's getting in donations alone on Twitch, that's the culture. They've crushed it, and that's where Loyal Doe with the Twitch Prime is correct.
Yeah.
There.
Well, and they to Twitch's credit, they have created and cultivated alongside the chat room of toxicity a community of giving.
It's kind of the best and worst, right? Where the best is, the worst is also there. It's got this like dark, this yin and yang situation.
Yeah. Well, I kind of laugh because a streamer is basically a person on the corner with a guitar box open, playing his guitar as awesome as he can, and it's people walking by that throw dollar bills.
It's true. That's a really good analogy.
That's essentially what Twitch is, and that's what keeps the guitarist and still playing the guitar and not going and working at Walmart. You know?
The dream. They're keeping it alive.
They're doing it.
Having said that, I do think Twitch has done some things that are smart, but I also think kind of take advantage of streamers. So one of the smart things that they did is they lowered the partnership requirements, and they created an affiliate. And what that affiliate does is, if you have one person, I don't know what it is, I'm simplifying here, but if you have one person in your stream and you stream for 30 days, you can become affiliated, i.e. monetize your account and get subs. And that was smart on them on this respect. It keeps people streaming on their platform, because there's that dream you're still chasing. When for 90% of those people, it will never happen.
99%.
When did
99%.
When did they do that though?
Like 4 years ago?
Oh, okay. Was it quite
3 years ago? Yeah.
3 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Because did they do that in a response to
they did it in
Beam?
response to Mixer.
Well, Beam at the time?
No, it was Mixer. It was
Mixer at the time?
It was well into Mixer's run there, and because then the argument was, well, Mixer's harder now to become partner.
But see,
on
so
Twitch.
what you're saying is that good came from the competition of having another platform.
Well, I
out
think
there.
it's good in that if you're someone that's trying to make it makes it that much easier for you. Where I think it's bad is that it gives false hope to. I mean, how many people are streaming to 0 people? And a lot of those people are affiliated. Just go to Fortnite right now. If you're on the PC, go over to Twitch, go to Fortnite, and you can go for hundreds of people, thousands of people streaming to 0 people. And it's all because they're affiliated and continually stream to 0 people. Now, a lot of that, in fairness, is because people enjoy it, and that's good and fine. I just think it's a little bit. There's a little bit of a
double-edged sword.
We're taking advantage of you, and maybe that's me just being a little bit too soft and wussy. But
no, well, that's been the case for your life for several.
That's true, according to my wife.
Soft and wussy.
Stuff and wussy. Andrew Courtney writes in with a question. Thank you very much for the super chat, Andrew. He says, "Did you guys get a chance to listen to Uncle Phil on Unlocked podcast? If so, any takes on some of the topics he touched on?" So Phil Spencer had this big interview this week, and a lot of news came out from it. One of them was about what kind of games, what's missing in the whole of Xbox content. And Psychotic actually wrote in, and he said, was it Psychotic? Sorry, no, it was Nick Papagiorgio wrote in and said, when Phil Spencer was asked on the Podcast Unlocked interview about what gaps there were in games on Xbox, he talked about wanting to have more family-friendly games. He says, I can see as a dad as myself versus what is offered by Nintendo for kids, why this is a hole on Xbox. Are there any other games you feel are lacking on Xbox, and how can they fill that gap? So first, great question, Nick, and great question, Andrew. First, let's address Andrew's question. Any takes on the topic? Let's talk about the topic specifically of family-friendly content.
Well, I think the way he answered this question is exactly what we've talked about before. I think they walk into the office and they literally have a giant whiteboard of what don't we have, because this is just another thing off that checklist. The other thing would be like JRPGs, but they're slowly getting those.
Yeah.
So I would check that one off the list. So what don't they have? You know.
Yeah.
So and they're right. Where does Nintendo dominate, and where do they lack?
Kids never go out of business. I kind of think that's actually the model of Game Pass that is being taken. If you're a kid, you want your parents to get you Game Pass. You get access to all these games, and that will never go out of business.
Well, and the thing that Nintendo does so well, and I think this is kind of the art of their development process and a credit to their studios that they have. Let's take a game like Breath of the Wild. I, a 29-year-old person, can play that game no problem at all and have a great time, while someone younger can also play that game and enjoy it just as much. I think it's how Nintendo does it, I think is phenomenal.
Well, Nintendo does a lot of things right.
Yeah.
The fact that they just don't care and care
but
at the
no,
same
I
time.
mean that's my point. I would say Zelda Breath of the Wild is a family-friendly game. It's probably towards the top of maybe, it's a little bit more, because there are some like intense scenes in there, but I would be comfortable with my kids playing that game.
No, yeah, but
whereas as much as I love Grand Theft Auto, I would not let my kids play that game.
It's like 90s cartoon intense, whereas like other games are 80s cartoon intense. Those get
well, and I
scary.
think that's what Nintendo does well, and I think that's just a credit to their development process and their development teams. They can make a game that does appeal to all audiences. Now, is that what Xbox needs to do with their family-friendly section, or specifically with what Phil Spencer was asked? I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer. I don't know if you just go straight for family-friendly games or stuff like that. But more games is better.
Yeah. What's interesting is I feel like Xbox has access to these games. I think a lot of the family-friendly games are a lot of indie games. Human Fall Flat comes to my mind. I think that's a great...
Well, another one. What about a game like? Just talking. Like, what about a game like Banjo and Kazooie? Like, when's the last time we've seen a new Banjo and Kazooie?
Yeah. What was the?
There was a ukulele, which
Yeah.
I think was a spiritual Banjo Kazooie, but it wasn't done.
Spyro?
I think, which was a remake of an older game or of a game that came out earlier. But what I'm saying, like Xbox first party,
Well, that's the thing. We're talking exclusives to Microsoft, right? So
yeah.
if that's what we're...
Because I believe Banjo-Kazooie is theirs. I think Rare owns it, so they own it type of thing, something like that.
Sure. I don't know. It's... I think we have access to those games, but maybe they're not seen as Xbox
They're not pushed to the forefront
because they're
like
on
a Halo
they're
or
everywhere. Yeah.
I mean, technically, Sea of Thieves is family friendly. I would throw it in that category.
Is it though? Is it because
Well,
we're
yeah,
pulling out our blunderbuss?
Yeah, but your blunderbuss is in a stylized graphical art style, which is friendly, like
Sure.
And then when you kill someone, there's no blood. They just go down to their knees.
Is what's viewed as family friendly really just stylistic? So, for instance, Ori and the Blind Forest would be viewed as family friendly.
No,
but is it really? It's not a game intended for kids necessarily.
I don't know. I don't think art style has family friendly.
Yeah,
look at
Hotline Miami.
Yeah, I don't. So,
okay, that one is not allowed in Australia.
I mean, imagine Grand Theft Auto with a Sea of Thieves art style. It would still be Grand. You know what I mean? Like it'd be.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
There's a lot more than
art. Okay.
There are hookers in that game.
True. Sorry.
No, it's a really good question, and it's interesting that was his answer, because if you think about it, he's not wrong. I mean,
no, he's really not.
Yeah, hearing that makes me think of what you've said before. Is just I think they have a whiteboard, and what don't we have that we need to get
exclusively? Like I think even Battletoads, even though that's a combat-oriented game, I think the zaniness of it is like a 10 to 13-year-old game. It could,
See, and that's where I just think Nintendo dominates in the market, because like I was saying earlier, they create games that appeal to a wide audience of ages. Like I said, Breath of the Wild. I would let my kids play Breath of the Wild without thinking about it, yet I can drop 100 hours in there and have a blast as well, because it's a fantastically designed game that
you
can
wouldn't
appeal.
let them use your game save though.
No, they'd have to get their own Switch that they'd have to buy it themselves, because they have to earn it.
Okay.
I will buy their online for them. They can earn their games and systems.
Rose City Gamer says Grounded, Minecraft Dungeons, Battletoads, those are our family games.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Minecraft Dungeons. But I mean, take that list of 3 and compare it to what Nintendo has.
Well,
yeah, that's true.
I think you're playing 40 years of catch up with Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because they don't come out with IPs very often that are new.
That's true.
But they are great.
They're
games.
great, yeah.
I mean, what are some of the new games that we consider Nintendo?
Let's take a new game.
If it is a new game, it's using an old character.
Splatoon. I guess Splatoon.
Yeah, Splatoon. But a new game is Mario vs. Rabbids, which is now getting a sequel.
Yeah.
The first one was really well done. It appealed to me because it was that XCOM style. It had that fun strategic element to it.
All it is Advance Wars with Mario.
Let me ask you, would it have done as well if it didn't have the Mario IP on it?
No. But I think that's the Nintendo. Oh, I guess I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
They have 40 years of backbone of
they have
the
40 years of plumbers.
I mean, I know. Like they have that. They can just make an XCOM Mario game.
Yeah. I mean, Splatoon would be your newest one, I guess. ARMS, I mean, they do think, ARMS would be another one, I guess, but that one was okay.
I guess Microsoft has done an XCOM game with Gears.
Which was really well done, but I mean, again,
game.
you wouldn't let your 5-year-old play that one.
Okay, I don't know how accurate this list is, but there's a list from the internet of newest Nintendo IPs. And you'll be surprised at how crappy they are.
Well, yeah, because half of those are launch titles to show off the controllers.
1-2 Switch, ARMS.
Launch title to show off the controller. Launch title to show off the controller.
Astral Chain. No, I don't know that one. That one might be good. Mm-hmm. Damon X Machina.
Machinima?
Ex Machina?
Ex Machina, yeah.
Wait, what? Deus Ex?
No, Damon X.
Yeah. Copyright issues. They had to rename it to Damon.
Yeah, they couldn't call it Demon Souls anymore, so they had to call it Dark Souls.
Nintendo Labo, which is the labs.
That one was okay. Is that the cardboard box one?
Yeah, that's the
okay. That was that guy in that boardroom.
Genius.
I don't know, like that. He retired early. Hey, what if we just give him cardboard?
Now, see, Loyal Doyle says Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing was
it's not a new IP.
Was the first Animal Crossing
15
on
years ago?
GameCube? Was it GameCube?
Yeah. 15,
fantastic
20?
console, by the way. It had a handle.
You always say that, man.
It had a handle.
Well, like,
who does that? We need to make that a shirt. Yeah. It had a handle.
It ain't good if it don't have a handle.
Handles please me.
Sushi Striker and Ring Fit Adventure. Those are the newest IPs.
See, I mean, yeah, man, Nintendo.
I mean, I guess they're good at recreating their old IPs.
Well, I mean, can you name them?
they're not recreating them though. They're just using them.
Well, but what I'm saying, like recreating
but-
in the fact, like Mario versus Rabbids. It's
But can-
Mario in a new setting.
But
type, you know what I mean?
keeping their iconic games consistently top level. Microsoft's not been able to do it with Halo.
There is one thing that I do give credit to Nintendo. This isn't with all games, but this is with a lot of games. Whenever Nintendo makes a sequel or more games, they always try to do something. Yeah, they care. They always try to do something new. It's not just necessarily a perfected formula of the first one. It's they try to add new mechanics, new things. Like take the new Breath of the Wild. They could have just perfected the formula and released it, but instead, if you look at the trailers that we've seen, they're adding a lot of new stuff that will change the way the game plays. I mean,
respect.
I give them. I mean, sometimes it doesn't always hit. I'll say that, but I do give them credit for trying new things. You know,
Yeah.
and doing well at trying those new things.
Well, great question, Psychotic. We kind of going off topic there, but great question, Psychotic. Great question, Andrew, Courtney. Thank you very much to both of you. Jordan, before we leave, before we head out for the day, Halo Infinite had some. We're going to be able to play that soon. Well, potentially
Soonish.
soonish.
Yeah. So Halo Infinite this week, I think it was just yesterday because we're on Thursday today.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite community manager Sketch sent out a little tweet on Twitter that said PSA, which is public service announcement for those.
Is that what
don't
that
know.
is?
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
It is.
wow.
Yeah. He says, quote, with each week we're creeping closer and closer to the hashtag Halo Infinite multiplayer technical preview. A key goal is hardening and validating at a large scale. Help us out, spread the word, opt in, verify email, and be ready. Which basically, this is David, you deal with the community managers.
Yeah.
You can probably translate for us. But I got, hey, beta coming soon, sign up.
Yeah, closed beta, maybe a weekend beta, maybe multiplayer only, because I don't think they're going to give any campaign. You don't need to.
I agree, yeah.
Multiplayer only, probably one map, just to test things, see how it goes. And I doubt we get day one build. It's probably a little bit later build. Like
from this,
like
it sounds
build.
like they want to basically, which is what a lot of multiplayer games want to do. They basically want to overload the server. So come launch night,
A key goal is hardening and validating at a large scale.
Yeah, at a large scale.
That's what that means.
Yeah.
Stress test.
Stress test, baby. Smack us as hard as you can and see if we can take it.
Which is okay. I'm okay having some rocky connections during a stress test to help the developers figure it out. So come launch night, we can just have a solid experience. But all you have to do is just go to the Halo website, Halo Waypoint, sign up. They do ask you a lot of questions. There is actually quite a bit you can opt into. You can choose not to opt into certain things. So just whatever you want to opt into. But go through the form, fill it out, and then you'll hopefully have a chance to try out the Halo Infinite multiplayer technical previews. And I assume they're going to have more than one. So
yeah, that's exciting. I think about this game was supposed to launch at Christmas. I'm really glad it didn't.
No, I am too.
Because I think you've got to hit.
I
this
still
one out of the
stand by.
gates.
I do think they handled it a little bit wrong.
Oh, they did.
when doing the announcement process stuff and not letting it come out.
Yeah,
Stuff.
I'm excited. I hope.
There's a lot of stuff that.
I hope this is the equivalent, or at least you don't even need to be the equivalent of what it did for Xbox. But if you get 50% of that, you're doing really good. You know what I mean? Like if it's just a really good Halo game, that's really good. But I think they see it as, I mean, if it's a console seller, it's gonna be doing new stuff and taking Halo to heights we've never seen.
Yeah. Well, I think the best thing they ever did was getting Joseph Staten, or Staten, I think it's Staten, because it just, first of all, I mean, his pedigree speaks for itself, and the way he, even just watching those interviews, the way he talks about the game makes you excited for a Halo game.
No, it's true. He's clearly a passionate guy. I love passion.
Clearly.
The other thing is, what do you think? EA dropped some news that they're working on an Untitled game.
Oh yeah, the Battlefield news that wasn't
actually Battlefield news.
Well, it was Battlefield news without giving us news. It was
Is it
actually very clever how they did it.
Yeah. I like that. I
Oh,
appreciate
yeah.
that.
It was really good. No, so they had a little shindig this week.
Shindiggle.
Talking about, they just had, they had Vince Zampelli, some of the other heads of DICE, and, they're just talking about different things, different stuff for the future. We didn't really necessarily get any new Battlefield information other than they did talk a tiny bit about Hazard Zone, saying that they have, company meetings and people, internally, people are really enjoying it. DICE LA showed it to, I think, the head of DICE, and he was jumping up and down in his chair, really having a good time with it, very excited. And so, they like it. They like their own game, which is always a good sign. That's always a good sign, which is good. And then we basically just heard Hazard Zone will add fan favorite maps, and that's really the only new information we got.
Interesting.
Which is there. The big announcement is they talked about DICE LA has rebranded their studio. They're now called Ripple Effect. They will be working on, I assume in a support role, on Battlefield 2042 and
an unnamed game.
And a yet to be announced game. And
That's
this
exciting.
is where it got interesting for me, because the head of DICE talked about cloud computing. And he talked about I think he said our very powerful consoles that we have right now, which I thought was fun. But anyway, he talked about what we can do because of how powerful these consoles are. We can offload a lot of these. I mean, we can offload stuff to the calculations or I don't know what I'm saying.
Offload the calculations.
We can offload certain calculations to the cloud.
Yeah.
And because of how powerful these consoles are, we can do crazy stuff with the hardware that's there in your bedroom or whatever. They asked if this cloud computing would be on Battlefield 2042, and he said no comment. So I don't know if it's something they're looking at
why no
adding later.
comment? That's interesting.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. What I think
He
it is,
didn't know if he was allowed to say anything.
he
so
looked over
just,
to
no comment.
Yeah, they're very strict with their PR this year.
Good.
Which I think
As they should be.
There's someone off to the side, like with a
this-
whip, or like looking at them.
Yeah, EA seems more focused than they've been in a while.
They do. But going back to that, the cloud stuff that they're talking about, he talked a lot about future games, and in particular, first-person shooters are going to be really cool with this technology. And I think Ripple Effect, this yet-to-be-announced game, may be utilizing some of that. I have no idea. We don't know what it is, but
It's exciting.
they seem excited about it.
It's exciting. Can you imagine if you're having this conference with your employees and you accidentally invite to this live stream question and answer the socially handicapped person, and you're like, "Yeah, Bill, what do you think of this game?" It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not really my thing.
Is that what happened?
I work on?
No,
No, could you
no,
imagine
yeah,
though
yeah.
if that happened? Like you have to make sure in those situations that you have everybody on point.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Well, it's like when Microsoft used to do their presentations in front of journalists.
Oh, yeah.
And the
no
guy's
one's
like-
like, the guy's like,
foolish.
yes, this is awesome. Oculus is amazing.
And way off in the back,
There's like,
you could hear the fans going.
in like the
yes.
standing section.
What you could hear is every journalist staring down when it showed the audience just typing in their keyboard,
No,
not even
this,
saying a word.
Yeah, you put them at the back, and put the politicians learned it. You put the press at the back and your fans at the front.
yeah.
Microsoft finally caught on.
No, so I think it was a good little interview. Like I said, we didn't learn much, but I think you're right, David. What this interview or this little broadcast showed me is that they're focused on the game. And I think they're being careful about what they say because of certain things that may have happened in the past with that franchise.
I like saying the phrase "may or may not have."
They may or may not have asked me not to buy their game.
Yeah. Yeah, they may or may not have screwed up Battlefield 5's launch pretty badly. So I think they're being I really do think there's PR people on the side, and it's like one of those things like when you're a hostage, and you're like looking over having to say I think that's what it is.
Yeah, when he was asked the question about cloud computing, he looked over real quick, and the guy went like this. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. No comment.
No, but I mean, joking
Like
aside,
baseball signals. Okay, no comment.
fastball.
No, but joking aside, I do get the impression. I think you're right, David. I think the reason they're not necessarily saying a bunch of stuff is, one, they probably have events planned where they're gonna slowly kind of dole this out to keep that hype going. But I think it's because they're focused. They want to make sure things are ready, they're fixed, they're seeing how people are reacting. They're I think they're focused on this next Battlefield game, which I think is what the Battlefield franchise needs right now.
Yeah, I agree. Guys, that actually does us for today, everybody. Good show, good discussions today. Really enjoyed it. It's a fun time. It's a fun time hanging out with you. If you haven't yet, go over to Discord. The Team Vertical, Team Horizontal is lighting up. Look at this. Duro, Mr. Ryan, a.k.a. Duro. He's got his horizontal
X sideways.
with the Xbox with the Xbox sign he sent us on top of it. Look at that.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. I'm so surprised they go horizontal. With
Yeah,
that.
he's Team Horizontal. Check out then Dead Kamikaze's got his Series X vertical with the Batman sticker on it because it is like the Batmobile.
Hey man, how do you get a PlayStation 5?
And then we have look, we have Super Shocker.
It does exist.
It doesn't. Yeah, see,
Super Shocker.
That's how you do it.
He slides his hand up. Press that on button, baby. Super Shocker. Look at those hands. Ooh, doing stuff to me.
So funny.
Head over to Discord, guy. Let us know. Team Vertical, Team Horizontal. We're going to be on Discord all week. It's the place to be. Come join us. Come hang out. Also, come join us over on YouTube. We've got daily videos dropping. YouTube.com/XoneBros. Daily news. It's just my face. Sometimes I give opinions that make sense. Sometimes I don't. Come find out.
Just like our show.
Just like our show. Yeah. Come find out. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your week. It's a great weekend. Any gaming plans? You guys have both been working hard this week.
Yeah.
Do you see how exhausted I look?
You look tired.
I'm tired.
You're going to get a massage.
I'm
later.
hoping to play more Scarlet Nexus because that game is a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
it's on my list. And Sea of Thieves.
It's
to
your
finish up
manga
those.
game.
Yes.
Manga?
Munga.
Manga.
Munga.
Have a good one, everybody.
I'm looking